It was Tuesday, October 14th, 10:47 a.m., when Mama Adaobi Okonkwo's body hit the marble floor of Heritage Crown Bank, Lekki Phase 1 branch. The check inside her black nylon bag, written for 95,400,000 naira, slid across the polished tile and stopped at the foot of a chair belonging to a man who would never look down to see it. Funke Daniels, the customer care officer with the long red nails, laughed. Not a small laugh, the kind you let out when you think no one important is watching. Mama, she said, this is a bank, not a place to perform. Mama Adobe did not answer. She was 68, a retired teacher from Ninewi, and she was busy trying to breathe through a pain in her left hip that had not been there yesterday. Across town, in a glass conference room above Victoria Island, her son Tunde was 3 minutes into a meeting with the Crown Oil Consortium board when his phone began to vibrate. By 6 o'clock that evening, 3 people inside that branch would no longer have a desk to come back to. The woman they pushed, the one whose slippers they laughed at, would walk through that same door again tomorrow morning on her own feet. With her head up, press the like button. Drop your city in the comments. Stay with me. This one is going to hurt before it heals. Let me go back to that morning at her house in Yaba. Before the bank, before the check was folded, the house was small and clean. 3 bedrooms, a backyard with 2 bitter leaf bushes and a guava tree, and a faded yellow gate Mama Adaobi refused to repaint because her late husband had painted it himself in 1989, a month before their son started secondary school. Tunda had bought her a duplex in Banana Island 3 years ago. The keys were still in the kitchen drawer, with the receipts from her trips to Idumota Market untouched. She had been up since 5:30. The check was already written. She had written it the night before, sitting at the dining table with her reading glasses low on her nose, double-checking the figure. 95,400,000 naira. Exactly. Not a round number, because round numbers were what people picked when they were lying. The amount was specific because the expense was specific. The new generator for the rural clinic in Umudim Ward, Newi, was 19,800,000 naira. The supplemental 3 months of staff salaries for the 11 workers there came to 4,100,000. The pediatric ward extension Father Emmanuel had been writing letters to her about since 2019. The architect's quote was 71,500,000. The remainder was buffer for the dollar fluctuation on the imported cooling units. She had picked her clothes carefully, the navy wrapper with the small white flowers. The cream blouse her older sister had sewn for her on her 65th birthday. The brown leather sandals she had bought at Tejuosho Market for 4,700 naira in 2018 and still wore because they fit her left foot better than anything new. She did not own a designer handbag. She owned a black nylon Ghana Must Go shopping bag her neighbor Sister Patience had given her, and inside it, the check, her ID card, a folded paper with the clinic's account details, and a Bible verse her husband had underlined in green ink in 1991. Whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might. She did not tell Tunde because Tunde would have made a press release of it. She knew her son. He was kind, but he was the kind that liked to be photographed being kind. She wanted this gift to land in Umudim Ward the way rain lands on a dry yam farm, without anyone needing to know who carried the cloud. She locked the gate behind her at 9:45. The Okada man at the corner who always called her, "Ah, Mama Ada Obi, how?" That one she let pass. She took a regular Lagos taxi from Yaba to Lekki. The driver tried to charge her 7,000. She gave him 5 and an extra 500 because he had played Sunny Ade on the radio and she had liked that. At 10:38, she walked into Heritage Crown Bank, Lekki, Phase 1 branch. She thought it would take 20 minutes. She was wrong about that. The Lekki Phase 1 branch was the kind of bank that had a sliding glass door so heavy elderly customers needed 2 hands and a moment of preparation to get through it. The air conditioner was set to 17 degrees Celsius because someone in the head office had decided that cold air made customers walk faster. The marble floors were polished every morning at 4 a.m. by a Hausa cleaner named Yakubu who lived in Ajigunle and rode 3 buses to get to work. There was a flat-screen television above the queue area, playing a CNBC business segment with the sound off. There was a framed plaque on the wall to the right of the customer service desks, dust on its top edge, which read in green script, Heritage Crown Bank Customer Bill of Rights. Every customer shall be treated with dignity, without regard to appearance, status, age, or background. Mama Adobe noticed the plaque. She had been a primary school teacher for 31 years. She read every sign on every wall by habit. The young woman behind the customer service desk did not look up when Mama approached. Her name tag read Funk Daniels, Customer Service Officer. She was scrolling on her phone. Her nails were the color of the Christmas sweets Mama used to buy for her son in the 1980s. Red, lacquered, almost wet-looking. "Good morning, my daughter." Funky looked up. Her eyes moved from Mama's face down to the slippers, then back up to the bag, then to the face again. The sequence took perhaps 2 seconds. Mama had seen that sequence many times in her life. "Yes, what do you want?" "My daughter, I want to withdraw some money with a check. Tellers are over there. Can you not see the queue? It is a large check. I was told for large amounts I should come to the desk first." Funke laughed, half laughed, then caught herself. "How much?" 95,400,000 naira. The phone in Funke's hand stopped moving. She stared at Mama for a beat too long. Then she made a small noise in her throat that was not quite a laugh and not quite a cough. "Mama, Mama, please, don't come and start this morning." "My daughter, I am not joking." "You're not joking, Mama. Do you even know how many zeros are inside 95 million? I have an account here. The check is from my own account. Please check it. This is a serious bank. People are here for serious business. Look at the queue." Mama Adaobi lowered her voice. She had taught primary 5 for once. She knew how to lower a voice and still be heard. "My daughter, I am not asking you to give me the money now. I am asking you to verify the check. Look at the account number. That is your work. My work is not to entertain people who walk in dressed for the market." The phrase landed in the air between them. A man in a navy suit walking past the desk turned his head very slightly without slowing his pace. Funky did not seem to notice him. Mama did. She filed it away. "You will not check it? I will not waste my time." Mama looked past Funky to the plaque on the wall. She did not raise her arm. She did not point. She just looked. "Every customer shall be treated with dignity," she read. Her voice was quiet, without regard to appearance, status, age, or background. Funky turned her head to look at the plaque. Then she looked back at Mama. Then she smiled in the specific way that meant she was about to say the thing she should not say. "Mama, that is for customers. Not for people who walk in here looking like came to beg." That was the sentence Mr. Adebayo Coker walked into. The branch manager was 46 years old, built like a man who had once played rugby in school and now mostly remembered the part where people had cheered for him. His shirt was tailored. His shoes were Italian. His patience for what he called village dramatics had run out around the time of his second divorce 4 years ago and had not come back. "What is happening here?" "Sir, this woman is claiming a check for 95 million naira. I have tried to explain to her, madam." He turned to Mama Adaobi. His voice was the kind of calm men put on the way other men put on cologne. "Please, this is a place of business. Whatever the story is, please go home." "Sir, my name is Mrs. Adaobi Okonkwo. I have had an account in this branch since 2003. My account number is—" "Madam, please. I do not have time for this." "I am not asking for your time. I am asking your officer to do her work, which is to verify a check." "Funk, sir. Did this lady come with any documentation?" "She has a check, sir. Did you verify the check?" "Sir, did you verify the check?" Mama Adaobi felt something soft give way inside her chest. He was not asking Funky whether she had verified the check. He was asking her with a particular tone. The tone people used when the answer they wanted was no. The performance of asking. She had seen that performance for 30 years on the faces of headmasters who wanted certain children to fail their entrance exams. I did not, sir. I did not feel it was appropriate. Of course you didn't. Mr. Coker turned back to Mamma. His face arranged itself into something that looked, from a distance, like sympathy. Madam, with great respect, we have a duty under the central bank's anti-money laundering guidelines to be very careful about large cash withdrawals. We cannot just process any check from any walk-in customer. There are procedures. There are profiles. I am sure you understand. I understand AML guidelines very well, sir. My late husband ran an import business for 40 years. I am asking you to look up the account, see the balance, see the history, see the source. That is the procedure. You have not done it. Madam, you have not done it because you have looked at me and decided. That is not procedure. That is something else. Mr. Coker's smile thinned by half a millimeter. The performance of sympathy slipped 1 degree closer to its true face. Madam, I am going to ask you one more time. Please other customers to attend to. My daughter, please. Your manager. The branch manager. Look at me. I am asking you to do the work the bank pays you to do. 40 seconds. Look up the account. Madam, I will not look up anything. Funke, call Musa. Sir, please, madam, you came to this branch this morning. Nobody invited you. You are causing a scene. You are wasting the time of a banking hall that does not have time to waste. Funke. Musa. Now. Musa came in from the side door. He was tall, thin, in a dark green security uniform with the heritage crown crest stitched in gold thread on his left chest pocket. He looked at Mama Ada Obi the way a man looks at a task he does not want but knows he cannot refuse. There was a wedding ring on his finger. His shoes were polished but old. Mama, please. The manager has asked you to leave. My son, tell your manager to verify the check. That is all I want. Mama, please, just stand up. Come outside with me. Don't let them call police. My son, look at me. I am the age of your own mother. Look at me. Mama, please, just come. Mr. Coker, who had been turning to leave, turned back. His voice rose half a step. Musa, I said, remove her. Are you here for ornamentation? Musa put a hand under Mama's elbow, not roughly, with something that looked, if you were watching from far away, almost like care. But the geometry of the gesture was not care. Mama was sitting on a low, waiting bench by that point. Her bag was beside her. She was not resisting. She was simply not moving. Musa pulled. Her weight shifted. She stood up too fast. The pain in her left hip, a small chronic pain she normally managed with warm water, and a heat pad, flared, hot, white, and her knee buckled. She fell. The bag fell with her. The check slid out. The marble floor was very cold against her cheek. For a moment, the banking hall was completely quiet. The CNBC anchor's lips moved silently on the flat screen above her. A man in line 3 places back made a small sound, almost a word, and then did not finish it. The cleaner Yakubu, who was mopping near the entrance, stopped mopping. Funky Daniels laughed. It was the laugh from the very beginning of this story. The one she let out when she thought no one important was watching. The one she would in 72 hours replay in her head every night for the rest of her career, which would not be at Heritage Crown Bank. Mama, she said, this is a bank, not a place to perform. Musa crouched. His face had gone gray under the dark of his skin. He gathered the bag, found the check, folded it gently, and put it back inside. He helped Mama up. Mr. Coker had already left the banking hall. Funky had already returned to her phone. Mama, I'm sorry. Just let me take you outside. Please, my son, what is your name? Musa, Ma, Musa, Bello, Musa, my son. May God forgive you. Mama, I am not cursing you. I am saying may God forgive you. There is a difference. He did not have anything to say to that. He walked her to the sliding glass door. The door opened. The October Lagos heat hit her face. He let her go. He stood for one more moment as if there were a sentence he needed to say and could not find. Then he turned and went back into the cold air of the banking hall. Mama Adaobi sat down on the low stone wall outside the bank, where the security men some ate their lunch. The pain in her hip was bad. The pain in her chest was worse and quieter and harder to name. She did not cry yet. She took out her phone, a 4-year-old Techno with a cracked corner, and looked at it for a long time before she pressed the call button. Across town, in a glass conference room on the 23rd floor of Crown Heights Towers, Victoria Island, 11 men in dark suits and one woman in a cream silk blouse were listening to a slide presentation about the third quarter performance of Crown Oil Consortium's offshore Bonga Southwest asset. The chairman of the consortium was a man named Femi Akinwumi. He was speaking. His slide was a heat map. Tunde Okonkwo, chairman and majority owner of Heritage Crown Bank, the institution which held the consortium's largest credit facility, was sitting at the far end of the table with his phone face down beside his coffee. He had it on Do Not Disturb. 3 contacts could break through Do Not Disturb. His mother was one of them. The phone vibrated against the table. He turned it over. ADOBI. He looked at the screen for 2 seconds. He stood up. Femi, forgive me, I have to step out. Tund, we are about to get to the leverage covenant. Mr. Balagan's team will follow up on the covenant. Excuse me? He walked out of the room. The heavy oak door clicked behind him. He answered the phone in the corridor by the window that looked out over the lagoon toward Ikoyi. Mommy, there was a long silence on the line. The kind of silence that has somebody breathing inside it, trying to make the breath not be heard. My son. Mommy, what happened? Are you hurt? Daniel, Tun, my son. She had not called him Daniel since he was 12. Daniel was his middle name, the name on his baptism certificate, the one she used when something had broken her open. He started walking toward the elevator before he was conscious of having decided to. Mommy, tell me where you are. I am sitting outside a bank in Lekki. Which bank? Tun, please. Don't be angry. Mommy. Which bank? She told him, and did not curse. He did raise his voice. He pressed the elevator button. He said very quietly, I am coming to you. Stay there. Don't move. Don't try to take a taxi. I am coming. Tun, Mommy, I love you. I am coming. He hung up. He took the elevator down 23 floors. In the lobby, his driver Sola stood up from the chair where he had been waiting. Tundi was already speaking into his phone. Ikenna, get me everything we have on the Lekki Phase 1 branch in the last 24 months. Customer complaints, ignored escalations, anything flagged and buried. Get Mrs. Halima Bello from Internal Audit on standby. Get Mr. Sani Adeyemi from Regional on a clear line by tonight. Get legal compliance ready. Get it ready to pull CCTV. I need all of it ready to deploy within 10 minutes of a phone call. Tonight. Sir, what happened? I can tonight. Yes, sir. The drive from Victoria Island to Yaba on a Tuesday morning was an experiment in patience. Tunde was not patient. He sat in the back of the Range Rover and watched Lagos through the tinted glass and did not look at his phone, which was vibrating with notifications he was not answering. Sola took the third mainland bridge at 60 kilometers an hour, which was the fastest the traffic allowed. Tund looked at the lagoon. The water was the color of weak tea this morning. There were 2 fishermen in a long wooden canoe near the western edge, casting a net the way men had cast nets for 2,000 years. He looked at them for a long time. He was thinking about a memory. He was 13. His mother had taken him to enroll him in Federal Government College, Kano. They had ridden a Pojo taxi from the bus park, and the driver had tried to charge them double when he saw they had a suitcase. His mother had refused, calmly, 3 times. The driver had become rude. He had used a word about her. Tunde, small, 13. Suddenly furious in a way he had never been furious, had tried to open the door and confront the man. His mother had held his wrist. Her grip was light. Her voice was light. Sit, my son. Sit, mommy. He insulted you. Yes, but he is shouting because he is small. Big people do not shout. We will pay him what he is owed and we will go. She had paid the man what he was owed, not a kobo more. The driver had cursed her as they walked away. She had not turned around. She had taken Tunde's hand and walked him into the gate of the school. He thought, watching the lagoon, that he had been waiting his entire adult life to make sure his mother never had to walk away from that kind of shouting again. He had built a bank. He had built influence. He had built a network of relationships that could move very fast when it needed to move. And this morning, while he sat in a glass conference room talking about offshore oil leverage covenants, somebody at his own bank had laughed at his mother on the floor. He closed his eyes for a moment. He did not pray. He had not prayed since 2011. He just sat in the silence of the car and let the heat of what he felt cool into something more useful. By the time the car reached Yaba, his face was completely calm. Mama Adaobi's small house was at the end of a quiet street where the same neighbors had lived for 25 years. The faded yellow gate was open. She had come home an hour earlier in a taxi, the driver of which had refused charge her when she explained briefly what had happened. He had been Yoruba. He had a mother her age. He had said, "Mama, no fight today. Go and rest." Tund found her sitting at the dining table with a small enamel basin of warm salt water, her left foot soaking. The basin was the same blue enamel basin she had owned since 1987. The Bible was open beside her, but she was not reading. She was looking at the kitchen window. She did not stand up when he came in. He came around the table and knelt beside her chair and put his arms around her, carefully, the way you hold someone when you are not sure where the bruise is. "Mommy, my son, I am sorry. You did not push me, Tunde. I am sorry that the bank I own pushed you." Put her hand on his cheek. Her palm was dry and warm and smelled faintly of menthol balm. "Sit, sit, my son. Eat something. There is jollof from yesterday. Mommy, I am not hungry. Sit anyway. We will talk while I soak this foot." He sat. He did not eat. He watched her foot in the basin and the slight movement of the water when she shifted her ankle. "Tund, I have to tell you something. Before tomorrow, before whatever you are planning, Mommy, the 95,400,000 naira. Yes, it was for the rural clinic in Umudim Ward, Father Emmanuel's clinic, the new generator, the staff salaries, and the pediatric ward extension." He looked at her. He did not say anything for a moment. "Mommy, you have not been to Umudim in 9 years. I have been writing to Father Annual for 9 years. Every month. Mommy. They have 1980-something equipment, Tunde. A child died of dehydration last September because there was no working IV pump. Father Emmanuel told me. I told him, I will help, but I will help quietly. I did not want you to know. Because if you knew, you would have made it a project. You would have put your bank's name on it. You would have called the cable and gotten a feature. Mommy, I am not saying that is wrong, my son. I am saying it would not be the same. The clinic does not need your bank's logo. It needs the generator and the salaries and the ward, and it needs to receive them from a hand that does not ask to be photographed. Tunde did not say anything for a long time. He looked at the basin, at his mother's foot in it, at the small scar on her ankle that she had had since she was 19, before he existed. Mommy, why did you not just transfer the money? Because Father Emmanuel does not have a bank account in this country. He had one in 2014. It was closed because he did not have enough paperwork. He has been operating the clinic on cash from a vault under the chapel floor for 6 years. I was going to give him the check in person. I was going to take it to him next week. I needed it as a physical check because that is what he could deposit into the diocesan account when he traveled to Akka. Mommy, I could have arranged. You could have arranged many things, Tunde. I am asking you to let me do this one thing my own way. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded, slowly, once. Okay, Mommy. Good. And tomorrow? She lifted her foot out of the water. She set it carefully on a folded towel beside the basin. She looked at her son. Tomorrow, my son. Tomorrow we back. The same way I went today. Same wrapper, same slippers, same nylon bag. We will not take Sola in the Range Rover. We will not take any security. You will come with me as my son, not as a chairman. Not because you are afraid your bank cannot defend itself, but because I am tired. Mommy, I am tired, Tunde, of people looking at women like me and deciding what they are. I want them to look at me tomorrow and decide again. The same way, with the same eyes, and then I want them to see what they decided. Yes, Mommy. And Tunde, yes, do not destroy them. Mommy, listen to me. Do not destroy them. Correct them. Destruction is small. Correction is hard. Anybody can destroy a person. Almost nobody can correct one. I want you to correct them, because tomorrow it will be them. The day after tomorrow, it will be someone else's mother in another branch. The week after, it will be a girl at a teller window in Anitcha. The change has to be bigger than my one morning. He looked at her. Yes, Mommy. Good. She put her foot back in the basin. He watched the water settle. He called Ikenna at 4:12 p. M. Ikenna. Sir, listen carefully. Tomorrow morning at 10:50 a.m., I want you, Mrs. Halamabello, two lawyers from compliance, and the IT supervisor who manages the CCTV system, all of you in a conference room at the Marriott Lecky, not at the bank. The Marriott, 5 minutes drive from Lecky Phase 1 branch. You will wait there. You will not move until I call you. When I call you, you will reach me at the branch in 7 minutes or less. Yes, sir. Get Mr. Sani Adeyemi on the line tonight. I want him available for live video conference tomorrow from his office in Abuja from 11 a.m. until I tell him otherwise. Clear his schedule. Yes, sir. Pull the last 2 years of customer complaints from Lecky Phase 1. Every single one, including the ones marked resolved without customer follow-up, especially those. I want a list by tomorrow morning. Yes, sir, I canna, sir. This is not a press exercise. We will not be calling channels TV. We will not be calling premium times. If I see anyone with a camera who is not a member of our internal security or our internal communications team, that person will be removed. Are we clear? Yes. Sir, good. One more thing. Sir, find me everything you can about Mr. Adebayo Coker, the branch manager, his employment history at the bank, his prior complaints, his relationships with other branch managers, his financial profile, to the extent we lawfully can. I want to know who he is by tomorrow morning. Yes, sir. He hung up. He sat at his mother's dining table. She had gone to lie down. The house was quiet. The sun outside the kitchen window had moved from white to amber to a deep, slanted gold. He poured himself a glass of water from the clay pot in the corner. He drank it slowly. He thought about the small woman in the back room, sleeping. He thought about the marble floor she had fallen on. He thought about Funkadaniel's laughter, which he had not heard, but which he could already imagine perfectly. He set down the glass. He went to sit in the chair across the hall from her bedroom door where he could hear her breathing if her breathing changed. He sat there until morning. The morning came slowly. Mama Adaobi woke at 5:20, exactly the time she always woke. She lay in bed for a moment, locating the pain in her left hip. It was there. It had not made friends with her overnight. She got up anyway and went to the kitchen and put on the kettle for tea. Tundi was already at the table. He had not slept. His shirt from yesterday rumpled. There was a small line of stubble along his jaw, which she would normally have teased him about. She did not tease him this morning. Tea, Mommy? Yes, my son. Strong. 2 sugars. She drank her tea slowly. She ate 2 slices of bread with butter. She put on the same navy wrapper with the small white flowers, the same cream blouse, the same brown leather slippers. She picked up the same black nylon bag. The check was inside, folded the same way. They took a regular yellow Lagos taxi from the corner. Tunde sat in the back beside his mother. He had not brought his Range Rover. He had not brought Sola. He had told Ikenna exactly twice where they were going and at what time and to be ready and not to come unless called. The taxi driver, a young Igbo man, did not recognize either of them. He drove them to Lekki Phase 1. He charged 5,400 naira. Tunde paid him 6 and said thank you. They walked into the bank at 10:47 a.m., exactly 24 hours after the fall. The cleaner Yakubu, mopping near the entrance, saw Mama first. His mop stopped moving. He looked at her. He looked at the man beside her. He looked back at Mama. He did not say anything. Mama Adobe nodded at him. He nodded back, a small, careful, almost invisible nod between two people who had each, in their own way, been the cleaner of someone else's floor. Funka Daniels was at her desk. Her nails were a different color today, a deep wine red. She was eating gala from a wrapper. She looked up. She froze for a half second. Then she smiled the slow smile of a person who has been given a second gift she did not deserve. Mama, you came back. Yes. And you brought your son. Yes. My God. Some people will not learn. She turned to the colleague at the next desk and laughed, a performed laugh, loud enough for the cue to hear. Yesterday it was the mother. Today the son has joined. Heritage Crown Drama Series, Episode 2. Tunde said nothing. He laid the check on the desk in front of Funk, folded twice, crisp. Please process this. Sir, with all due respect, please process this check. Sir, the account would need to be verified, and given the circumstances, verify it. Sir, Funk, is your name Funk? Yes. Funk, I am asking you to do your job. Look up the account. Read the balance to me. That is all. Sir, I will need to escalate to my branch manager. Then escalate. She picked up the desk phone. Her hand was steady, but only because she was making it be. She dialed an internal number. Mr. Adebayo Coker came out of his office 20 seconds later, adjusting his cufflinks, his face arranging itself into the particular shape it had arranged itself into yesterday. He saw Mama Adobe. He saw the man with her. He did not see the man clearly because Tunde was, in that moment, doing the very specific thing that quiet people do when they want to be underestimated for one more sentence. Oh, so, it is you again. Mama Adaobi did not respond. Madam, with all respect. I thought we resolved this yesterday. Sir, said Tunde, I am the lady's son. I am here to assist her with a routine transaction. Could you please process the check? Sir, with great respect, the check is for 95,400,000 naira. Yesterday I explained to your mother our anti-money laundering procedures. Today I will explain them to you. We do not process walk-in checks of that magnitude without proper customer profiling. It is a regulatory requirement under the CBN. It is for our protection and for hers. Mr. Coker, the CBN's anti-money laundering guidelines require verification of source and identity. They do not authorize you to refuse to look up an account. Mr. Coker smiled. It was a wider smile than yesterday. He was, Tunde noticed, slightly enjoying himself. Yesterday he had been irritated. Today, with the addition of a son who looked, in his plain blue polo shirt and jeans and 3-day stubble, like a junior consultant at best, Mr. Coker felt himself on safer ground. Sir, let us be very honest with each other. If your mother truly has 95 million naira in this bank. He paused. He smiled again. He delivered the line he would, in approximately 14 minutes, regret more than any sentence he had spoken in his 46 years on earth. Then, I personally own Crown Oil Consortium. Tunde looked at him for a long beat. He said, interesting. Mr. Coker did not register the word. He had already turned away, gesturing to Funk to call security. Funk, K, call Musa. We are not doing this again today. Police if necessary. Yes, sir. Tunde took out his phone. He dialed one number. He did not put it on speakerphone to make a show of it. He put it on speakerphone so that his mother, sitting on the same low waiting bench she had fallen from yesterday, would hear that the call had been made. Akenna. Sir, 7 minutes. With everything. Yes, sir. He hung up. He turned to his mother. He spoke very softly. Mommy, please, sit down. This will take 8 minutes. Mama? Adebabi sat. She folded her hands in her lap. She watched Mr. Adebayo Coker walking back to his office, already losing interest in the morning, already mentally rehearsing the cocktail he was meeting his investment banker cousins for at 7 p.m. She did not say anything. She just waited. 6 minutes passed. The banking hall went about its strange, ordinary business. A man at teller window 3 deposited a stack of dollars and made a joke to the cashier about his daughter's wedding. A woman in a green head tie argued with the next teller over an unauthorized debit. The television above the queue played a silent advert for an insurance company. Funke Daniels typed something onto her, then looked up at Mama Adaobi, then looked back at her phone. Mr. Adebayo Coker had returned to his office and could be seen through the glass wall on his desk phone, gesturing with one hand as if explaining something to someone who was being slow. Mama Adaobi sat. Tunde stood beside her. He did not check his watch. He did not need to. At the 7-minute mark, the sliding glass door at the front of the bank opened. Mr. Ikenna Balogun entered first. He was 40 years old, 6'2", and dressed in a navy suit that had been tailored for a different kind of meeting than the one he was about to attend. Behind him came Mrs. Halima Bello, head of internal audit, carrying a closed laptop and a folder thick enough to be a small book. Behind her came two lawyers from compliance, a woman in her 30s named Mrs. Okoye, and a man in his 50s named Mr. Adelic. Behind them came the IT supervisor for the branch CCTV system, a quiet young man named Felix who carried his equipment in a black backpack. Behind them came a videographer from internal communications carrying a small camera mounted on a stabilizer. Behind him came two members of corporate security in dark blue uniforms. 8 people. Heritage Crown Bank's deployment unit for a Tuesday morning crisis. Funke Daniels saw them first. The piece of gala she had been chewing stopped against the inside of her cheek. She put down her phone. She stood up without realizing she had stood up. Her left hand began to move toward Mr. Coker's office and then stopped, hovering halfway. Mr. Adebayo Coker came out of his office because the change in the air of the banking hall was the kind of change a manager notices before he understands what he is noticing. He took 5 steps. He stopped. Mr. Ikenna Balogun walked directly to Tunde. He did not look at Coker. He did not look at Funke. He said very quietly, in the way you say things in a hospital corridor, "Sir, Mr. Adeyemi is live from Abuja. Mrs. Bello has the documents. CCTV is queued. Thank you, Ikenna. Please set up in the manager's office." "Yes, sir." Mr. Coker found his voice. It came out half a step higher than the voice he had used 6 minutes ago. Excuse me, who are these people?" Mr. Ikenna Balogun turned to look at him for the first time. He looked at him for perhaps 2 seconds. Then he turned back to Tunde, as if the sentence Mr. Coker had spoken had not contained enough information to be worth a reply. "Sir, the office, please." "Yes." Tunde turned to his mother. He held out his hand. She took it. She stood, slowly, with care for the hip. He walked her, at her pace, not his, across the banking hall, past Funke Daniels' desk, past the queue of customers who were now openly staring, past the cleaner Yakubu whose mop had not moved in 4 minutes, and into Mr. Adebayo Coker's office. Mr. Adebayo Coker followed. He had not been invited. He came anyway because the office was his, and because he had not yet caught up with what had begun to happen inside his morning. Inside the office, Felix set up his laptop on the side table. Mrs. Halima Bello opened her folder on the desk. The videographer adjusted his camera. On the wall-mounted screen normally used for branch performance presentations, the face of Mr. Sani Adeyemi appeared, a 61-year-old man with a white mustache and the expression of someone who had been told something he did not want to hear. "Tunde, I am here. Thank you, Sani." "Funke Daniels and Mr. Adebayo Coker, please come in." And closed the door. Funke came in. She had to be guided by one of the security officers because her legs were not entirely working. Musa came in on his own, very slowly, in the way a man walks when he has begun to suspect, 8 minutes too late, what kind of morning he has had. Tunde gestured to the 3 of them. He gestured to the 3 chairs. "Sit." They sat. Mr. Adebayo Coker remained standing. Tun looked at him until he sat. "I would like to introduce myself, Mr. Coker. My name is Tunde Daniel Okonkwo. I am the chairman and majority owner of Heritage Crown Bank, the institution whose office you occupy. The woman you and your officer pushed to the floor yesterday is my mother, Mrs. Adaobi Okonkwo. The woman you laughed at twice in 24 hours. The color left Mr. Coker's face in the way water leaves a glass when somebody pours it out. Mama Adaobi watched from the chair at the side of the office. She did not say anything. She had said all the things that needed saying yesterday afternoon at a kitchen table with her foot in a basin. Sir, said Mr. Coker. Sir, I did not know. Mr. Coker, that is the first thing you are going to need to understand about what is about to happen. You are not in trouble because you mistreated my mother. You are in trouble because you mistreated a customer. Do you understand the difference? Sir, do you understand the difference, Mr. Coker? Sir, yes. Yes, I understand. I do not think you do, but you will. Felix, please play the footage from yesterday morning. Felix played the footage. The screen on the side wall showed the banking hall in grayscale, time-stamped Monday, October 13, 10:47 a.m. Mama Adaobi entered. She approached the desk. The conversation began. Funky laughed. Mr. Coker emerged from his office. Mama was dragged from the bench. She fell. The bag opened. The check slid. Funke's laughter captured in audio because the customer service desk microphone picked up everything within 4 feet, played at a clarity that made every person in the room look at the floor instead of the screen. The footage ran for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Nobody spoke during it. Felix stopped the playback. Tunde turned to Mr. Sani Adeyemi on the screen. Sani, you saw everything? I saw it, Tunde. Your assessment. Tunde, in 31 years in banking, this is the worst customer service incident I have ever watched on tape. There is no procedural defense. There is no AML defense. The customer was not even asked her name. The check was never touched. This was discrimination on the basis of appearance, full stop, recorded on Heritage Crown property by Heritage Crown staff in a Heritage Crown uniform. Thank you, Sani. Mrs. Bello, please. Mrs. Halima Bello opened her folder. She did not look at Mr. Coker. She looked at the folder. The CBN Consumer Protection Framework 2016, Principle 1, Paragraph 4, states the following. Financial institutions shall not discriminate against consumers' access to basic financial services on the basis of attributes such as social status, physical ability, marital status, gender, age, religion, or other comparable characteristics. That is not internal Heritage Crown policy. That is the Central Bank of Nigeria's standing position on what a Nigerian bank is permitted to do. Yesterday, at this branch, 3 members of staff acted in violation of this principle. The violation is on tape. The violation is undisputed. She closed the folder. She still did not look at Mr. Coker. That is the regulatory position. There is also a separate matter. Go on, Mrs. Bello. In the past 48 hours, internal audit has pulled, on Mr. Balagun's instruction, all customer complaints from this branch over the last 2 years that were marked resolved without customer follow-up. We have identified 147 such cases. We have flagged 31 for immediate review. We have, in the last 12 hours, succeeded in personally reaching 17 of those 31 customers. 4 of them are here this morning. Mr. Coker's hand moved upward, slowly, and touched his own face. Ikenna, said Tunde. Please bring them in. Mr. Ikenna Balogun stepped out of the office. He returned 30 seconds later with 4 people behind him. A woman in her 70s in a pale yellow head tie and a slightly worn lace blouse. Madame Sad George, widow of a civil servant from Ibadan. A man in his 50s in a clean but inexpensive driver's uniform. Mr. Bode Williams, who drove for an investment partner of the bank and who had been ignored at this branch's teller line twice on errands for his employer. A small Hausa woman with her veil drawn forward over her shoulders. Madame Zainab Ibrahim, the one who had carried her deposit in a transparent nylon bag because she did not own anything else. A tall, quiet man in a white caftan with gray at the temples, Mr. Yusuf Daniels, a retired civil engineer who had been spoken to in Pidgin instead of standard English, because Funke Daniels had decided his accent meant he would not understand. Tunde looked at them. He spoke to them softly. Thank you for coming this morning on very short notice. I would like to apologize to each of you personally on behalf of Heritage Crown Bank for the way you were treated by employees of this branch. I would like each of you, if you are willing, to tell the three people sitting in front of me what happened to you here. Not for me, for them. Mr. Bode Williams cleared his throat. He spoke first. My Oga sent me here in May with a deposit slip. 85,000 naira cash. The lady at the desk, he nodded toward Funky without looking at her. She made me stand for 26 minutes while she attended to customers who came after me. Then she told me to come back the next day. I came back the next day. She told me she could not find the slip. I left. My Oga lost the deposit slip credit. He shouted at me for 3 days. Madame Sad George spoke next. Her voice was very small. My husband's account. He died in February. I came to ask how to access the funds. The lady at the desk laughed at my dress. She said I should bring a proper lawyer. I did not have money for a lawyer. I went home. I have not eaten properly in 2 months. Madame Zainab Ibrahim was the third. She did not look at Funke. She did not look at anyone. My son sent me money from Saudi Arabia, 212,000 naira. I came to deposit. I had it in a nylon. The lady said the bank was not a market. She called the security. I left with my money. I kept it under my mattress. Last week, somebody stole part of it from my house, 80,000. Mr. Yusuf Daniels spoke last. His voice was steady, professional, the voice of a man who had spent 40 years explaining structural calculations to people who did not always listen. I came to inquire about a fixed deposit rollover. The young woman at the desk spoke to me in Pidgin. I responded in English. She continued in Pidgin. I asked her, politely, to speak to me in the language I had spoken to her. Oh. She told me my education must have been somewhere in the village. I am a graduate of Ahmadu Bello University. I built 3 bridges in this country. I taught at the University of Lagos for 11 years before I retired. I left this branch and have not banked here since. The office was completely silent. Tunde looked at Funke Daniels. He looked at Mr. Adebayo Coker. He looked at Musa Bello. He did not raise his voice. Mr. Coker, sir, did you, at any point in your stewardship of this branch, become aware of patterns of complaint of this nature? Sir, yes us or no, Mr. Coker. Sir, there were complaints, but how many of the 147 cases Mrs. Bello identified were marked resolved without ever being escalated to you? Sir, how many, Mr. Coker? Sir, I do not remember. All of them. All 147 were under your branch authority. The system marks each one with the branch manager's approval code, yours. Mr. Coker did not speak. Funk. Sir, yesterday my mother stood in front of you and asked you a simple question. What did you do? Sir, I am sorry. Answer the question, Funke. I did not check the account, sir. Why didn't you check the account? Sir, why didn't you check the account? Because of how she looked, sir. Louder, please. Because of how she looked. Thank you. Musa. Sir, yesterday morning you pulled an elderly woman from a waiting bench by her elbow and she fell. Sir, I was following orders. Were you ordered to use force on a non-resisting customer? Sir, were you? Musa. No, sir. What was the order you received? To remove her, sir. And in your training as a security officer, how does the manual define removal of a non-resisting customer? Verbal request, sir. Repeat if necessary. Escort. Not contact. Did you give a verbal request? Yes, sir. Did you repeat it? Yes, sir. Did the customer become physically aggressive at any point? No, sir. Then what authorized you to make physical contact with her? The manager's order, sir. Did the manager have the authority to suspend your training manual? Musa looked at the floor. No, sir. Tunde turned to Mr. Sani Adeyemi on the video screen. Sani, your recommendation. Tunda, my recommendation is immediate termination of all 3. With prejudice, full referral to legal, and a regulatory notification to the CBN Consumer Protection Department by close of business today, before they read about it in the press, which they will. Thank you, Sani. I concur. Mrs. Okoye? The compliance lawyer in the cream silk blouse stepped forward. Mr. Adebayo Coker, Miss Funke Daniels, Mr. Musasa Bello. Your employment with Heritage Crown Bank is terminated, effective immediately. You will surrender your branch access cards, your uniforms, and your laptops. In the case of Mr. Coker, to Mr. Balagun in the next 10 minutes. You will leave the premises within 30 minutes. Legal proceedings concerning the customer service incident of October 13 will follow separately, and you will each be served personally within 72 hours. Mr. Adebayo Coker began to cry. It was the silent kind of crying, just the face changing shape and the shoulders very still. Sir, sir, please, I have two children in university. Please, sir. An apology. Tunde looked at him. You are not sorry because you pushed an old woman. You are sorry because you now know whose mother she is. There is a difference between regret and consequence, Mr. Coker. You are about to learn what that difference costs. He turned to his mother. Mommy, do you want to say anything? Mama Adaobi stood. She walked slowly around to the front of the desk. She looked at the three sitting in front of her. She did not raise her voice. She had never needed to. My children, I did not come into this bank yesterday to disgrace anybody. I came because I trusted this bank with my money. Some of you looked at me and saw only my clothes. You did not see my years. You did not see the nights I stayed awake. You did not see the children I taught for 31 years, some of whom now sit in offices like this one and decide who is allowed to be respected. God saw. That is enough. A person can dress simply and still have value. A person can be old and still deserve respect. A person can look poor and still carry a story bigger than your own. I am not angry. I am sad. There is a difference between those also. Learn from this, not because of who my son is, because of who the next mother who walks in here is going to be. She turned and walked, slowly, out of the office. Tunde followed her. He did not look back. The banking hall had stopped pretending to do business. Every customer in the queue was standing. The cleaner Yakubu was leaning on his mop. The two tellers at the windows had paused mid-transaction. Tunde walked his mother to the center of the hall and turned. He spoke to all of them. Good morning. My name is Tunde Daniel Okonkwo. I am the chairman of this bank. Yesterday, in this banking hall, 3 of my employees mistreated my mother. You witnessed it. Most of you did not intervene. I am not here to blame you for that. I am here to apologize to you that you had to witness it inside an institution my family built. A bank does not exist for rich people alone. Traders come here. Teachers come here. Drivers come here. Widows come here. Pensioners come here. Your job, if you sit on the other side of one of these desks, is to serve people, not appearances. People. Today, in this hall, 3 people lost their jobs. They lost their jobs not because they insulted my mother. They lost their jobs because they cannot be trusted with anybody else's. From today, that standard is the standard for every single branch of Heritage Bank in every state of this federation. If you cannot meet it, resign. I will not allow pride to destroy a bank that was built on trust. Thank you for your patience this morning. The check transaction will now be processed. Please continue with your business. He paused. And to any customer of this branch who has been mistreated and never had their complaint properly addressed, Mrs. Halima Bello, who you can see standing by the manager's office, will be receiving complaints in person until 5 p.m. today. There is no form. There is no appointment required. You walk up. You tell her what happened. Heritage Crown will hear you. 3 customers in the queue stepped forward immediately. By that afternoon, the number was 31. 3 weeks passed. The restorative justice hearing was held on a Wednesday morning in a conference center in Ikoyi rented by the bank for the purpose. It was not a press event. The only camera in the room belonged to internal communications. The room held the 17 identified victims, Mr. Adebayo Coker, Miss Funka Daniels, Mr. Musa Bello, a panel of 3 including Mr. Sani Adeyemi and a CBN observer, and in the back row, Mama Adaobi Okonkwo, who had insisted on attending and on saying nothing. The format was simple. Each of the 17 victims spoke. The three former employees, one at a time, stood and listened. They were not permitted to defend themselves. They were permitted at the end to make one statement of no more than 2 minutes, addressed to the people they had wronged. It took 6 hours. Mr. Adebayo Coker spoke last. His voice was very different from the voice he had used in his office 3 weeks earlier. He did not perform. He had run out of the energy required for performance. I am not asking you to forgive me. I do not think any of you are required to. I have spent the last 21 days going over my time at this branch and trying to count the people whose names I never learned. I cannot count them. I do not even know how to apologize to people I never bothered to know. What I can say is this: I will not work in banking again. I have decided that. The licensing board will decide whether I work in finance at all again. Whatever they decide is fair. To you, he looked at Madame Sad George, and to you, he looked at Mr. Yusuf Daniels, and to the customers I have not yet learned the names of, I am sorry, not because of what it cost me, because of what it cost you. He sat down. Madame Sad George stood up. She walked slowly to where Coker sat. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, in the small voice that had been small at the beginning of the morning and was no smaller now, "May God teach you, my son. That is the only thing I have." She walked back to her seat. It was Mama Adaobi, sitting in the back row, who first felt the small, hard knot in her chest begin to loosen. The mirror moment, when it came for Funky Daniels, did not come from the bank. 3 days after the hearing, Funka's mother came down from Abeokuta to Lagos. BC Daniels was a small woman in her early 60s, with hands worn from 25 years of selling pepper at Lafenwa Market. She had heard from a neighbor what had happened to her daughter in Lagos. She had not been able to sleep. She had decided that what her daughter needed was a job, any job, and that she, the mother, would help find one. BC Daniels walked into a bank in Surulere on a Friday morning to make a small deposit for a savings target she had been keeping for her daughter's wedding fund, which she had been saving toward since her daughter's 21st birthday. She was wearing a market wrapper and a pair of brown sandals, very much like the ones Mama Adaobi had worn into Heritage Crown Bank. The young woman at the deposit desk of that other bank, a different bank, not Heritage Crown, looked BC up and down in the way young women at deposit desks sometimes did. She made a small joke to her colleague in Yoruba, which she did not realize BC spoke fluently. The joke was about BC's slippers, sitting in the public area of that same bank waiting for her mother. She had come to Surulere to meet her. She had heard the joke. She had heard her mother's response, which was no response, which was a small, careful straightening of her back, which Funky had seen her mother do exactly 2,000 times growing up. Funky Daniels stood up. She walked to the desk. She did not say anything to the young woman at the desk. She did not need to. She put her hand on her mother's shoulder. She walked her mother out of that bank, into the parking lot, into the back seat of a taxi. She wept in that taxi for 35 minutes. Her mother did not say anything. Her mother held her hand. At the end of 35 minutes, Funka said into her mother's shoulder, in a voice that was barely a voice, "Mommy, I was that girl. I was that girl. I was that girl. Yes, my daughter, I am sorry. I forgive you. You don't even know what. I know what. I have known what since the news came. I forgive you. Now go and apologize to the woman you laughed at. Mommy, she does not want to see me. You do not know that until you try. Go." Funky Daniels arrived at Mama Adobe Okonkwo's house in Yaba on a Saturday afternoon. She did not call ahead. She was not sure she would have been allowed in if she had. Mama Adaobi opened the gate herself. She looked at Funky. She did not look surprised. "Come in, my daughter." Funky came in. She sat at the dining table where Tunde had sat 3 weeks earlier. Mama Adaobi made her tea. Funky could not drink the tea. Her hands were shaking. "Mama, I came because I know why you came. Speak when you can." Funke spoke when she could. "Mama, I laughed at you because you looked poor." Yesterday I watched a girl at a bank in Surelaire laugh at my mother. She looked poor too. She is not poor. She is the strongest person I know. I have not been able to look at my own face in the mirror since. I do not know what to ask you for. I do not deserve to ask. I just, I needed you to know that I understand now. Not because I lost my job, because I saw my mother. Mama Adobe listened. When Funky was finished, she did not speak for a long time. She drank her own tea. She looked at the window. Then she said, "Fi- very quietly, My daughter, there is a thing my late husband used to say. He used to say that an apology that costs nothing is worth nothing. An apology that costs something is the beginning of becoming a different person. You have lost your job. That is a cost. But it is not yet the apology. The apology is what you do for the next 20 years. You do not need to come back here to do it. You need to find the next Bissy or the next Adobe, wherever she sits, and you need to be the kind of person who sees her. That is the apology. Do you understand? Yes, Mama, good. Drink your tea before it gets cold. Funky drank her tea. When she left an hour later, Mama Adobe walked her to the gate. At the gate, Mama Adobe did something Funky did not expect. She put her hand on Funky's cheek, briefly, the way she had once put her hand on her own son's cheek when he was 12 and frightened of starting boarding school. Go in peace, my daughter, but do not forget. I will not forget, Mama. And one more thing, Mama, tell your mother I said thank you. She raised you well enough that you came back. 6 weeks later, Heritage Crown Bank announced the launch of the Hildenbatter program. The program was simple. Every quarter, 4 customers aged 60 and over, drawn from across the bank's branches, would be invited to a 4-day workshop at the corporate office. They would not be lectured to, they would lecture. They would sit in a room with branch managers and customer service officers, and they would explain in their own words what it felt like to walk into a bank in this country and be looked at the way Mama Adaobi had been looked at on October 13. Branches whose staff had attended the workshop saw, in the following 90 days, an average drop of 61% in customer service complaints. Madam Saad George, Yusuf Daniels, Madam Zainab Ibrahim, and Mr. Bode Williams were all in the first cohort. They were paid for their time. Their photographs were not used in any advertisement. Mama Adaobi reviewed the curriculum personally and made one change. She removed the slide that thanked her by name. 2 months after the hearing, on a Thursday morning in January, Mama Adaobi Okonkwo took a regular yellow Lagos taxi from her house in Yaba to Lekki Phase 1. She did not tell Tunde she was going. She wore the same navy wrapper with the small white flowers, the same cream blouse, the same brown leather slippers. She carried the same black nylon bag. The check inside it was new. It was for a smaller amount this time, 342,000 naira, for the school fees of her sister's granddaughter, whom Mama Adaobi had decided to begin sponsoring through secondary school. She walked into the bank at 11:15 a.m. The branch was different. The lighting was the same. The marble was the same. The CNBC television was still on, still silent. But the people behind the desks were different. The branch manager was a woman named Mrs. Esther Adiola, who had been transferred in from Port Harcourt the previous month. The customer service officer at the front desk was a young woman in a navy blazer with her name tag reading Esther Adei. A different Esther, no relation, common name. This second Esther looked up when Mama approached. Her eyes did not perform some sequence. They went to Mama's face. They stayed on her face. Good morning, Ma. How may I help you? Good morning, my daughter. I have a small check to deposit. Please have a seat, Ma. I will assist you right away. Would you like water? Water is fine. Esther stood, walked to the side table, poured water from the cooler into a paper cup, and brought it to Mama Adobe. She did this without looking at the cue, without asking permission, without performing it. She did it the way a person does something for another person. She drank the water. Esther returned to her desk. Ma, may I have your check? Mama gave her the check. Esther Esther looked at it. She typed something into her computer. She waited for the system. She looked up. Ma, the account is verified. The deposit will be reflected within 5 minutes. Is there anything else I can help you with this morning? No, my daughter, thank you. Thank you, Ma. Please come back any time. Mama Adaobi stood up to leave. She paused at the edge of the desks. She looked at Esther for a moment, considering something. Then she asked very quietly, My daughter, do you know who I am? Esther looked at her. She thought about the question. No, Ma, I do not. Should I? No, my daughter, you should not. Then, is everything all right? Everything is all right. Have a good day, my daughter. You too, Ma. Mama Adaobi walked out of Heritage Crown Bank, Lekki Phase 1 branch, into a Lagos morning that was unusually cool for January. She did not look back. She took a taxi home. She did not tell Tunde about the visit until that evening over a plate of yam and palm nut soup, and she did not tell him in the way one tells a story of triumph. She told him the way one tells a small, ordinary thing that has just happened. I went to the bank today. They were kind. He understood, watching her face, that he had finally built the thing he had wanted to build. 3 months later, Tunde Okonkwo presented a paper at the quarterly meeting of the CBN Bankers Committee in Abuja. The paper was titled Dignity-Centered Banking, Lessons from One Branch. He did not show the CCTV footage. He did not mention his mother by name. He spoke for 40 minutes about the customer Bill of Rights plaques that hung dusty on the walls of branches across the country, about the gap between the words on the plaque and the words at the desk, and about what one bank had begun to do to close that gap. 3 other banks asked, in the months that followed, for the curriculum of the Elder Banking Ambassador Program. Heritage Crown gave it to them at no cost. The bank's customer satisfaction ratings rose 17% in the next 2 quarters. That was the smallest part of what changed. The larger part is harder to count. A driver who walked into a Heritage Crown branch in Ibadan in March, carrying a deposit slip from his employer, was offered a seat and a cup of water by a teller who had once been trained, in her first year, by a customer service officer named Funke Daniels, who no longer worked in banking, but who had once whispered to her on a Tuesday night out, Aduni, listen, the desk is not a throne. You are not on top. You are across from somebody. Look at them. A widow in a worn lace blouse walking into the Heritage Crown branch in Enugu in April was helped without comment, without a sequence of eyes, without any reference to her clothes. An elderly Hausa woman with a deposit in a transparent nylon bag, walking into a branch in Kano in May, was greeted, was offered a chair, was processed by a teller who had attended a workshop in Lagos in February, at which she had listened, for the first time in her career, to a woman named Madame Zainab Ibrahim describe what it was like to be made invisible by a person younger than her own children. Late one evening in June, Tunde Okonkwo sat on the small couch in his mother's living room in Yaba, eating groundnuts from a small bowl she had set between them. The yellow gate outside was closed. The cricket sounds from the backyard came through the open window. Mama Adaobi looked at her son. Tunde. Yes, Mommy. Are you tired? A little. You worked very hard this year. Yes. You did not do it for me. No, Mommy. I did the first part for you. The rest I did because of what you said in your kitchen that night. Which part? The part where you said the change had to be bigger than your one morning. That part has been the harder part. It is also the part I am most proud of. She nodded. She took a ground nut. She chewed it. My son. Yes. It is not finished. No, Mommy, it is not. Good. Do not let it finish. Do not let it become a thing people talk about at conferences. Let it become a thing people forget to mention because it is just how the bank is now. Yes, Mommy, and one more thing. Yes, stop bringing me these ground nuts. They are too salty. Go and buy the unsalted ones from the woman by the church gate. Yes, Mommy. She smiled at him. He smiled back. The cricket sounds from the backyard kept going. The bowl of ground nuts sat between them. He picked one up and chewed it anyway, because they were too salty, and because his mother had bought them, and because he was not in a hurry to leave. A note before you go. The structures in this story, the customer protection framework, the disciplinary review, the restorative hearing, the elder ambassador program are not invented for television. The Central Bank of Nigeria's Consumer Protection Framework of 2016 is a real document, and its principle one does forbid discrimination on the basis of social status, appearance, age, and other comparable characteristics. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, the FCCPC, is a real agency headquartered at 23 Jimmy Carter Street in Asokoro, Abuja, and they do receive consumer complaints against banks and other service providers. If you are watching from outside Nigeria and you wonder where the equivalent is, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in the United States serves a similar function for federal consumer financial law. Banking laws differ from country to country, and what worked in one Lagos branch may be structured very differently in your own city. If anything in this story made you think of an elderly mother, or an aunt, or a neighbor who was talked to like she was invisible in a bank, or a hospital queue, or a government office, please do not just shake your head and scroll past. Sit with her. Walk her in next time. Stay until she leaves with her head up. I am not a banker, and I am not a lawyer. I am someone who once watched his own grandmother get spoken to like a child in a pharmacy line and never forgot her face when we walked out. Walk her in next time. That is the whole of it.